Smoke,
Yep.
what's your favorite ending of the world?
Yeah. Favorite ending of the world? That's a loaded question. That's like what's your most hated basket of puppy dogs with unicorn and fairy dust?
Right.
Help me, Unclear thinkers. I got to answer that question. I'm Larry Smoke. That guy is John Bates. He asked the question. Say hello, John.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Say hello, Smoke.
He's good. He's good. Favorite ending of the world.
All right. Go by popular media. What's the most prominent way the world society ends?
I guess the attack of the zombies.
Right. The zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Been around for quite a long time, actually. Well, I guess historically speaking, not so long, but Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, World War Z, X-Heroes, Walking Dead.
Probably the last, you'd say, maybe 25 years.
Yeah, at least.
I mean, I know Night of the Living Dead was 1968, but I guess I don't think it's really. I don't think that genre's really been as pervasive. What would you say, like maybe mid 90s when it really caught traction and started to.
Yeah, and it goes in waves. We've had waves of zombies are in, zombies are not cool anymore, zombies are stupid, zombies are in, and we're currently in a zombies are in.
Mm-hmm.
But it got me wondering, there are lots of ways that people postulate the world could end. Alien invasion, comet hits the Earth, nuclear war, giant devastating plague, biblical Armageddon, whatever the case may be. The one that seems to capture and hold our imagination more frequently than most is the zombie and all its variations, the 28 days later, that sort of thing. So I was wondering what is it about it that grabs us like
as
that?
a society really do seem to be latched on to the zombie apocalypse. I mean, there's lots of post-apocalyptic fiction, even going back to, I guess, War of the Worlds was probably kind of sort of post-apocalyptic, and that was 120 years ago.
Right. Well, and the idea of Armageddon goes back, a few thousand years.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, but as far as modern culture, we seem to be fascinated by the thought of everything being blowed up, and the person indulging the fiction is one of the few, if not the only one left. And there's got to be some kind of draw to that concept that we're not consciously aware of.
I think part of it is in a zombie apocalypse, everything doesn't get blowed up. The people, yes, but the structures, the stuff, it's still there. Nuclear war, minimal chance you're going to live through that.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not going to be anything left to live through anyway.
Yeah, so what zombies or a virus or a plague is about the only thing that could get rid of everybody but keep everything.
Right. And that's another thing. Zombies are a plague, but in plague apocalyptic visions, the only way to survive is to be one of the genetically gifted who just have that random gene type that can survive the plague. Because the plague spreads by some sort of unknown vector, and everybody gets it and dies. But in a zombie apocalypse, the vector that spreads the plague is very well known. You have to be attacked and bitten by a zombie to become a zombie. Well, you don't have to have some random genetic chance. You just have to be smarter, faster, stronger, or better than the zombies.
Well, the most famous example of the zombie apocalypse fiction going right now, the concept behind that TV show, I'm talking about Walking Dead, of course, the entire concept is that everyone is infected.
Right, but you have to be killed.
Correct. I mean, you have to be dead before you can rise again. Do you think that somehow the thought of surviving this apocalyptic event and being one of the few is it some kind of callback to our Americans rugged individualism, the concept of we'll make our own way against all odds, that modern, comfy, cushy, air quotes, progressive society is trying to burn out of us?
I don't think it's even American. I think it's Western in general. I think that
the pioneering spirit.
Right. I think that each of us thinks of it subconsciously, not consciously. Consciously, there's a reason. It's scary horror fiction. but subconsciously, we think that we could be one of the ones to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we automatically assume that our loved ones would be one of the ones to survive as well.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we get to start fresh, clean slate, reorder society with us and our loved ones. Yes, it's going to be gritty and dirty and harrowing, but we're smart enough for it. Assuming we're talking about slow zombies and not fast
Yeah.
zombies, we're smart enough, we're clever enough, we're fast enough. We know what to do. We've got our plans in place. I'd imagine more, not everyone, but a lot of people have thought, okay, if a zombie apocalypse occurred, this is what I might do. This is where I might go. This is where I might hole up, or whatever the case may be. And society gets a reboot. When society rebuilds, because it inevitably will, because we will win, because we are the smart, strong survivors, then we get to be a part of the ordering of that society. The society that we might not think is fair all the time, the society that we might not think cares about us or that we're important in, suddenly we become important. Suddenly the inequities are balanced out, and frankly, the only people who become zombies are the people we didn't know in the first place. And they're just things ahead with our axe or our baseball bat.
We've said that the zombie genre has really taken root in our popular culture in the last, depending on how you define it, 25 to 40 years. I'm a little bit surprised to see that the first zombie movie was in 1932. It was a Bela Lugosi movie.
Yeah, he did all of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
White Zombie from 1932.
I mean,
And yet it didn't take. But the notion of the zombie really didn't latch on again until sometime between the late 60s and the mid 90s, depending on how you define it. So why did it take that long for we as a society to become fascinated with it?
well, I've also done some reading on the subject, and
Of course you have. You're a learned fellow.
yes, I am. If you think about it, and some of the research seems to bear this out. If you think about it, the 60s and the 30s were both periods following massive turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
The 30s were World War One, Great Depression.
Coming off, yeah.
Yeah, society is in turmoil. We've just seen death on a massive scale like we've never seen before with the war, and it involved everybody. And it seemed like the world could theoretically end. And then the 60s, we'd had World War II. We'd had the Korean War.
The nuclear scare.
Nuclear scare. We had all of those things that were happening, and the idea of massive death and devastation, but also the appeal of a reordering of society, both things could come together in a zombie flick. Now, the first zombie flicks that I know of, it wasn't about a whole bunch of survivors who, made it through. It was pretty much death and devastation all the way around. Yeah. But, I think, and each one of us, and this is an interesting part, each one of us is secretly convinced that we get to live.
Yeah. That's always the rub. We fantasize ourselves of being Daryl Dixon, or being, well, not zombies, but still after the apocalypse being Mad Max. But and yet we always assume that we're Daryl or we're Max.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be the zombies, people.
That's right. Yeah, we always assume we're Jesse Eisenberg. We're Shaun of the Dead. We're the guy who's just lucky enough to survive when everybody else is gone. And the thing is,
to be fair, there was the movie Warm Bodies that was actually the zombie apocalypse from a zombie's point of view. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but it wasn't that great. But
and he slowly became more human.
That's true. Yeah, even then he couldn't even get.
Yeah. And we also, when we think about these things, we tend to automatically assume that our loved ones, we're going to save them too. Because obviously we're the heroes of the peace.
Oh, yeah.
We're the ones who are organizing people, keeping them together, figuring out where we can go where the zombies can't get to us, and where we can plant crops and restart society, and it'll be much simpler and better, and that sort of thing.
Something that really gets me to thinking is that what does it say about our collective subconscious that in our fiction we the fiction creating community make so much fiction about an imaginary threat, zombie, if our fiction represents our fears, our concerns, and we choose to depict it that way instead of the real threats to our society, your religious fanaticism, terrorism, actual enemies that in reality want us dead, and yet we choose to indulge in all of this fiction, you're facing a challenge, an enemy, that actually doesn't even exist. What is it about our way of looking at things that we collectively choose to express that fear through our fiction?
Well, I think there are two factors at play here. One, the real threats we don't feel like we have any control over. You know, terrorists. There's no great plan we can come up with as an average citizen living in a small southern town in the United States of America. There's not a lot I personally can do to stop the threat of global terrorism.
Well, maybe not individually, but collectively.
But see, in a zombie apocalypse, the individual effort is all that matters.
Yeah.
It's your individual effort that can save you and your loved ones or not. So I think there's that. And I also think that fiction serves to take those things that we're afraid of, take those things that we have anxiety over, and cast them in a way that removes them from our present circumstances, because our present circumstances are too close to us, but also casts them in a way that we can do something about, that we can have influence or power over, and we can write the ending of fiction. We can't do that in real life. So I think that's got a lot to do with it as well.
Have you noticed, or maybe it's just me, that so much of the zombie genre, when whatever particular crisis breaks out in whatever story is being depicted, the gist of the protagonist side of the story is always about individualism. It's always the actions of a few individuals or a small group that forges its way through the crisis and survives. That government is usually seen to be useless or ineffective,
or even dangerous.
I mean, I guess maybe the World War Z book was probably the exception to that, although the movie turned it right around and made it to where the government was the bumblers. But am I reading something that's not there, or do you see it too?
No, I think that another thing about zombie apocalyptic fiction in general is I think that modern Western people feel a sense of disconnect from most of the other people in the world. We have our select group of friends, but now the wider world that we deal in, we don't feel connected to those people. The person who cuts you off in traffic, or the 19 people who cut you off in traffic, or the person who leaves the buggy in the parking lot at Wal-Mart. Those aren't people. We don't know them. They are
an abstract.
Yeah, they're irritants and obstacles and other things, and they become zombies. That's the zombie horde. They're all the ones who die and become zombies.
I knew everybody at Walmart was a damn zombie. I knew it.
Yeah,
the whole
exactly.
freaking store Walmart is a zombie horde. That might be the title of this episode.
Walmart is a zombie horde. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but zombie apocalyptic fiction is sort of a postmodern angst. It shows our disconnect from other people. It shows our discontent with the world the way it is. It shows our desire for a new society, and it shows our confidence that, we would flourish in the new society, and that everyone else would just be wiped away, because they become mindless. That's what a zombie is. They're mindless. Yeah. They don't think. They're just aggressive. They're just using you as a resource. And I think a lot of people see most of the population of the world like that. Not consciously, but subconsciously. We don't have a connection with people.
Yeah. All right, you wake up tomorrow morning and you see on cable news the zombie apocalypse has started and civil authorities believe the situation will be out of control in 36 hours. What's the first thing you do?
Go gather my loved ones. And find a place.
I have a very different answer.
Go gather my loved ones and find a place that we can hole up and secure.
Oh, okay.
What's your answer?
I have a little bit more red meat chewing answer. Well, we all know I live in the Augusta, Georgia area, I'm marching across the road to Fort Gordon, and I'm finding that 4 million rounds of ammunition they've got on post somewhere.
Well, one of the people I'd gather would be Kevin, who's got an entire giant safe of guns.
Well, yeah.
And then we're going to head out to, I've got a friend who lives out away from everything, down a 2-mile dirt road, next to a river, in the woods. You can't see your house from the road. There's only 2 access points to get there in the first place, and she's only got about 5 neighbors. If they turn into zombies, I can kill 5 zombies.
And actually, your answer probably makes a lot more sense, but because I live in Augusta, Georgia, which has somewhere 50, 75,000 people in the metro area, I'm sure there are a few other people besides me who've had the same idea, and my chances of being the last one to get to that 4 million rounds of ammunition probably aren't too good. So
what you need to do is get your wife and get the hell out of Augusta, Georgia, because as we all know, urban population centers are going to be ground zero in the worst place you could possibly be.
Well, and plus she was the competitive shooter out of the two of us, so yeah, I'm standing behind her all the way.
Yeah. You need to get your ass.
I'm progressive in my thinking. I'll let her lead the way.
Actually, get yourself down to the seashore and get a boat, because I don't think zombies can swim.
Well, I'm sure some filmmaker or author will come up with a version of the zombie that can swim. Lord knows they've come up with zombies that can crawl, walk, shamble, run, sprint, swarm, and fly. I guess swim is probably not too. They did in World War Z, the book, not the movie. The zombies, of course, were unaffected by oxygen because they weren't breathing, so they could just walk to the depths of the ocean and walk from one continent to another. Of course, I guess unless the fish ate them before they got through moving, but.
And that would take a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get lost. I dive. It's damn easy to get lost underwater. I mean, you can walk in a straight line and still never come out of the ocean.
Next stop, Portugal.
Yeah. We all think that we're going to be the ones to survive, but I once again, now there have been variations. It depends. In a slow zombie apocalypse, you have a much, much better chance than in a fast zombie apocalypse. In a fast zombie apocalypse, you're going to get overrun. In the movie World War Z, giant walled city of Jerusalem, overrun by zombies who piled on top of each other.
And I'm drawing the breath to start grumbling about that doesn't make any sense, and then I stop myself because the whole damn subject doesn't make any sense. So there's really no point in bickering about one version of a zombie over the other. I'm sure the Haitians that created the concept of the zombie are probably laughing at all of us.
Yeah. And it turns out that their version of a zombie was somebody who had their respiration rate slowed by pufferfish venom to the point that they got brain damage and came back and shambled around.
And were basically susceptible to suggestion. They could be controlled by a fully functional person. Well, getting off zombies, because there's more apocalyptic fiction than just zombies that people seem to love. And again, it's Mad Max, Book of Eli, and those are the first two that popped to mind. I'm sure I'll think of others. But those films, stories, all this young adult fiction, the Divergent series, and Hunger Games, and all these after some socially cataclysmic event has changed our world scope. Well, is it the same type of societal trait that draws us to that story, even without the zombies?
I think so. I think we're all fascinated by
change, by change that we know that can't happen.
Yeah, and the destruction of current society and the chance to rebuild a new society.
Reality sucks. If we could wipe it clean, it sure would be neat if it looked like this, and it doesn't really matter what form it takes.
Right. If you look at the first 3 Mad Max movies, not the most recent, the first movie is right on the verge of the collapse of society.
Yeah.
Society still exists. Max is a cop, or as they call him, a bronze. And society is just falling completely apart. The second movie, society has fallen completely apart. It is anarchy everywhere. By the third movie, some parts of society have started to rebuild themselves. That's what Thunderdome really was.
Yeah.
It was a leader who was trying to build some sort of functioning segment of society. And even in the new one, that's what Immortan Joe was basically doing in
Yeah.
his own way. Is he was forming a
A
society.
society of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah, he just happened to be the one on top with control of the water.
Yeah.
Spoilers, sorry.
They've had time.
But you'll notice, and you know what? Even in like The Walking Dead, even in our most recent popular zombie fiction, the danger in The Walking Dead is not the zombies; it's the people.
Right.
It's the other survivors.
The zombies create the situation that people must address, and how they address with the situation is what makes for the drama.
Right. But most of the bad guys in The Walking Dead are not zombies.
Right.
They're other people. In the Mad Max movies, it's people. It's, you know, in all of those post-apocalyptic movies, Book of Eli, it's two good guys.
Very underrated movie, in my opinion.
I love it.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
real good.
But it's two good guys and a whole crap ton of bad guys. Once again, and society struggled to rebuild itself after its own collapse. But there's always the hope there. There's always, in every one of these post-apocalyptic things, there's hope. That's why people continue to struggle to survive, because there's hope that society can be rebuilt. I think that's a powerful theme that goes along with it too.
So, folks, tell us, what would be the first thing you'd do if you saw the zombie horde coming over the hill? Would you get your guns and go charging in? Would you cower in the basement? What would you do? Let us know. unclearthinking@gmail.com. Tell us on the Facebook page if you'd like. Facebook.com/unclearthinking. Google+, we're there too. We'd love to hear whatever kind of bizarre, strange, heroic, self-serving, rugged, individualist type things you would do to fight off the slathering, biting, moaning, groaning, shambling masses. John, tell the good folks where they can find you outside of this show.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Cuhullen, Cuhullen. Outside of this show, you can also find me on the Grumpy Old Guys on Gaming podcast.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm there too. And you can find me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much all social media at LA Smoke. And on that note, I'm feeling like I need to go and count the bullets that are in the nightstand just to make sure, don't you?